Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us on this really cold, chilly night in London. And I'd also like to say welcome to our guests who are joining us live stream around the UK. Tonight, we're at the Tower of London, this iconic location. And today is Blue Monday. Blue Monday is supposed to be one of the saddest days of the year, a day with these cold, dark nights, post-Christmas, and holidays that we haven't got in place to look forward to yet. And those are the days where our veterans, our armed forces veterans who have mental health conditions, will struggle to find support and ask for help. And we're here at the Tower of London today to launch our campaign at Help for Heroes. We've carried out a YouGov survey in the last few days, and that's because we found that many veterans weren't asking for help, and we wanted to know how long it would take them to ask for help for their mental health challenges. And it was a tough year last year for Armed Forces veterans. We know that those with PTSD, originally at 4%, has now increased to 6%. And we also know there were many veteran suicides around the UK. So our survey, our YouGov survey, has told us that veterans find it very hard to ask for help. And on average, what they told us is that it takes 3 years, 9 months, 21 days, 21 hours, and 36 minutes to ask for help. That's nearly 4 years. 4 years of struggling in silence. We want to put an end to that. We want the nation to help us put an end to that. We want the nation to support us, to donate to Help for Heroes, to raise funds, to carry on activities, and to volunteer with us to help those veterans get the very help they need and deserve. So tonight, I am joined by two wonderful veterans. One of our veterans, Pav, was in the Army Medical Corps. And he tells us it took him nearly 4 years to ask for help for some of the symptoms he was experiencing related to mental health. And we also have another veteran here with us tonight, Mark. Mark served in Kosovo and other campaigns, and it took him nearly 20 years. That's a long time, a really long time to be suffering in silence. So our campaign tonight is called Cut the Clock. We want to call time on stigma. We want to make sure that our veterans and their families get the very help they deserve and quickly. And our host tonight, I'm delighted to say, is Matt Dawson, rugby legend, 77 England caps, 9 as captain. And Matt's no stranger to us at Help for Heroes. Matt has helped fundraise for Help for Heroes on our bike rides and has been a true supporter, and he's no stranger to injury. He certainly knows what it's like to try and recover from injury and get back on the road to recovery, just like our veterans. So without further ado, to launch our campaign Cut the Clock, I would like to hand you over to Matt and our veterans to start the countdown.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our new game show, right here. Cut the Clock. Listen, I'm honoured to be stood up here. I'm going to have a chat with these two guys. Firstly, thank you very much, Mel, wherever you are there. Thank you very much. Great words, great introduction. A little bit on my association. Yeah, like a lot of rugby players, probably all rugby players, to be perfectly honest. We have an affiliation with the military, certainly in my rugby career. Plenty of time spent down in Lympstone, being absolutely flogged down there. So, yeah, well, I mean, I've fond thoughts of the military, really. I'm well aware of what these guys, everybody knows exactly what you guys and girls have done over the years. It's a shocking thought to think that it takes on average 4 years to finally get some help to our veterans, and for the veterans to come forward and talk about it. Here is a prime opportunity to the millions of people that are going to be behind these lights here. I mean, there are millions, boys, all right? So don't be nervous or anything like that. There's a few on YouTube and Facebook, I don't know about. But what's really important is, first of all, to hear the story and hear what was. Pav, I'm going to start with you, if I may. Just what's the difference from being in the scenario where there's something not quite right, not wanting to talk about it, can't talk about it, to then finally sort of unleashing all this anxiety and de-stressing yourself, hopefully, and making that transition?
Yeah, it takes a long time. My situation, I was injured, so I had the rehabilitation from injury to get over in the surgeries, and then was finally discharged in 2013. I'm one of the statistics that it took me nearly 4 years to come forward and ask for help. During that time, being a military man, fairly proud, I was sure that I could fix the problem myself, but I was deteriorating all the time. I couldn't fix it. I thought I could, and I was just on a slippery slope, so I became more and more withdrawn from everyday life, and sat there watching everyday life going on around me.
I'm going to come to you in one moment, and you know why? Because we're going to push this. Yeah, and Mel is just over there. She's been leaning in front of you, Pav, as if to say, Dawson, you've messed this up already, because you're meant to push the button. But I was so into the conversation. So, Pav, yeah. Mark, will you join me in launching the Cut the Clock? Yeah, yep. Is that all right? Can we have a countdown? Everybody, if that's right, from 10, I can just about manage that. Can we have a countdown? Yeah? Okay, here we go then. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Cut the clock! Is it there? Is there a clock there? Oh, it says help for heroes. There we go. That's. I think there's a slight delay. There we go. Right there, cut the clock is done. Has been done. Pav, 4 years. You are absolutely right on that classic example of not being able to come forward. If I may ask you, could you somehow give just maybe a main reason as to why?
In the military, you're taught to use your mind to fix and solve problems. And I think after serving for 24 and a half years, that was instilled in me, that to fix and solve problems, to use my own mental ability to do that. There's also, there is a stigma attached to mental health issues. So you wonder how your friends, family, colleagues are going to view you when you step forward and ask for help. So you do leave it for as long as possible, trying to sort yourself out before actually going forward and trying to get that fix to the solution.
When I heard that statistic of 4 years, you think, wow, what an inordinate amount of time that is. But then that's the average. There are examples of a lot more than 4 years. And Mark, we have one here where the number's up to 16 years from when you were serving in Kosovo. That's right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and like Pav said, it's the whole stigma around it. I knew fairly early on that things weren't right. After Kosovo, it was then the Gulf War, and then another tour out there. 2005 was my first visit to a civilian GP, just because I was going off the rails a bit, and I was signed off with stress. But then after that, I just thought it was my body processing everything and getting it out. So I cracked on, went back to work and carried on. A few more tours down the line, and then I just got to the point where I couldn't carry on.
Come on a little bit closer so you're in the light for me. There we go. You were talking to me a little bit earlier about that sort of the day-to-day example of what happens with PTSD. Maybe you could explain to people that story you were telling me as well.
Yeah, I mean, some days can be okay. I can a focus on something, I always have to have something to focus on. That takes my mind away from all the other stuff. But when I have a bad day, it kind of immobilises me, and I tend to just sit in a chair, stare at a wall, and there's like a videotape running through over in my mind about different things in the past. And one thing that always used to really get me was seeing my 2 young children out in the garden playing. But patio doors open and they're shouting, "Come play, Daddy! Come and play! Look at this! Come and do that!" And physically, mentally, I couldn't even get out of the chair. It was painful to sit there knowing that they wanted me, and as their father, I couldn't even go out there. And that's difficult to deal with that when you're already in that sort of place anyway.
So there are going to be thousands of your fellow veterans that are feeling like that. What's the relief? What's the difference now then? On you're still probably going to have some of those moments, but meeting the specialists, having someone to talk to, reference points, not only people just from the military, but professionals as well.
Yeah, I mean, my circumstances, I don't suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, but when I was eventually discharged, I sort of lost my way. I felt a loss of sense of identity of being who I was from my military career. So I've called it sort of adjustment disorder. And it took me a long time to figure that out. I was looking backwards all the time at what I used to have, my career, my job, who I used to be, struggling to find who I was in a civilian life. So through counselling, that's helped me then with the tools and the methods, coping strategies, that I'm now able to look forwards rather than backwards. Whereas before I would sit and maybe look at having a 12-foot wall in front of me that was impossible to scale, I now look forward and realise that we all hit speed bumps in our lives, and I can now go forward and move forward over those with the help I've been given. And the message really is there's lots of mental health issues, from PTSD, adjustment disorder, depression, but the help is there for everyone. The other thing worth of note is I've gone through this process and come out the other side, but I'm able to do so knowing that facility with Help for Heroes is always there should I need it to call on that support again.
I did want to mention some of the support, because it's not just Help for Heroes, is it? I mean, there are plenty of people that are here in the audience, and I know that are watching as well. It's family, it's friends, it's professionals, it's the charity givers, the corporates, individuals. It can come from absolutely anywhere. But give an example of the sort of the thanks and the difference it is for yourself, Mark.
Well, for me, I got into such a bad place in 2016 that I couldn't really see no way out other than to just end it all, like many veterans already have. Last year, I had an episode where I woke up in A&E after an attempt. I don't really know what happened, but the public's funding, which has been superb, and the money that they put into these charities, really allows them to get their team together and provide the help that veterans need. Because it's not easy. It's the hardest thing you'll ever do is put your hand up and say, "I don't think I'm coping." And for me, I looked at it like I'd failed in a way, But I think the bottom line is, like Pav says, that if anyone is struggling in any way, just pick up that phone, ask for that help. And if you go on cuttheclock.com, then all the help is on there. And Help for Heroes have provided a brilliant platform to help people move on with their lives. Because, like I always say, it's not the individual that suffers only, but the family suffers. On a daily basis, everyone around you.
Well, I can categorically tell you there is no one looking at you say those words think that failed comes into it. I think the whole point of listening to both of you, the point that I'm taking away from is that there is, you've passed with flying colours there, guys. It's an incredible example to everybody, to your colleagues, to people that probably maybe think and are worried about what the potential is for them in the future, maybe through the military. So thank you very much for taking the time out. I know you've been had a really busy schedule over the last 24 hours. You are now media professionals without a shadow of a doubt. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up. Give it up for Pav and Mark. A great job, that. Mel, I'm going to pass on back to you. Thank you very much for inviting me along, and keep the fundraising going, Mel. Over to you.
Thank you, Matt. I'd just like to to close now by saying thank you to all of you for attending tonight and for getting cold here at the Tower of London. I'd like to say thank you to our friends at the Tower of London for allowing us to put our display on their walls in such an amazing location. And there are many other displays around the UK. Our lights are at the Houses of Parliament tonight, so on your way home, please do take a look. And also look on our social media for the other places where we've lit up our Cut the Clock campaign. I'd also like to say thank you to our live stream viewers. I hope you've enjoyed the launch this evening. And I would also like to say thank you to our corporate partners who've braved the cold tonight, our volunteers who are out there collecting in buckets, and also the chap who has dressed up as Hero Bear, because that's an amazing thing to do for us this evening. More importantly, I would very much like to say a very special thank you to Pav and Mark for having the courage to share their very, very personal stories with us. It's not easy to do that. It was hard enough to ask for help, but to stand on a public stage and to spend all day sharing these stories so that others will ask for help and so that we can raise vital funds for our work is really, really valuable to us. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart and from all at Help for Heroes and all the veterans that you absolutely will have helped tonight. So thank you very much. Can I also say thank you to your families? Because I know that your families are also the glue that help you hold it together, and I don't think we recognise that enough. So thank you for them, for looking after you and bringing you here this evening. Matt, thank you for coming out in the cold tonight and wearing a Help for Heroes hat. You can keep it.
I will. Is that all right?
It is. Right. As long as you wear it all the time.
I'll donate, I promise.
And also, if anybody would like a Help for Heroes hat, we do have a trading business. So please do go on our website and do buy yourself a Help for Heroes hat. It is cold. And the other thing I would like to say is our Cut the Clock campaign is really only the start. Help for Heroes absolutely was founded on the belief that those who put their lives on the line for us deserve that second chance at life. And that's whether their wounds are visible or hidden. And we will strive to do that for as long as is needed. And we would like to ask you, the public, our corporate partners, the nation, to help us in that quest. We would like you to share our Cut the Clock campaign. We'd like you to donate to help these worthy veterans and their families. And we'd like you to act and take up challenges, challenge yourself so that you can help these veterans further. Because we believe they deserve it. Thank you.